songs from different provinces that are delivered in song. Their preferences come to you in song, and what their frustrations are also come to you in song. So we thought maybe let's look at a conference from that perspective. The role of music sang by ordinary citizens and what that means. So I'm joined now by Ntate Blondie Makhene. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start where we are. When you reflect back on who you've been and the role of music and what it's been in South Africa's history and South Africa's pathway, what comes to mind?
When I started getting involved with documenting the music, it was really about communication. We had just come out of 1985. We just came out of a period of refrigeration where we stayed cold for a long while, and I wanted to break the ice and get us back into communicating about our struggle, because it was frightening to go through the period of state of emergency in 1985. It was very, 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 we were cold, basically. You think of the cruelty of the Nationalist Party, and you're like, we're okay the way things are, let's stay afraid, let's stay frightened, and because I'm not a politician really, there was a time when my peers, we were getting ready to leave in 76, 77. And one of the things that happened was, as I was getting ready to leave with my peers, my sister, who was also very active, found me picking up my plastic with my T-shirt and my jeans,
Ready for exile.
Yes, yeah. You couldn't pack too much things.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
You're traveling far, yeah.
And I know you'll be seen. I mean, with bags and stuff like that. So, and she found me and she says, "And you, what are you doing? I know what you are doing, you guys. I'm in touch with the guys. I know even what taxi you guys are going to be using to go there." He says, "You are not fit to go to the bush, You and your ped leg, you're not strong. You can't be running around with the AK-47 in the bush, He says, "You stay or I'm going to talk. I'm going to sell you all out, and you must know if I talk, all of you are going to be arrested.
Yes.
So you stay. There are other things you will find to do to help the struggle, but you're not going." And that's how I was held back. And ever since that time, I'm like, what do I do? And then you get exposed to comrades who come and tell you about Comrade Mao Zedong, and because there was not enough books going around.
Yes, because some books were banned at the
time. They
were
banned, most of them. And I get this quotation that in a concrete jungle, one needs to build a jungle, for the struggle, because in the concrete jungle of Johannesburg, where do you hide? How do you hide yourself? And for a number of years, I searched for the answer, and I realized that you have to actually build consciousness around people. You have to have your freedom fighters mingle with ordinary people. How do you do that? And then there was that I have to build this jungle, but then how do I do it in this state of things? The way things are in South Africa. The Boere didn't mess around with you. I didn't want to go to ANC or struggle what you call it,
The events and the rallies they had.
not necessarily to go to your house as a leader
okay.
of one of the struggle leaders, and hang out with you, because already I had interviews with these Boers who come to me and like, we know you, we see who you with, and we're watching you, and when you mix with these guys, then you become a target yourself,
of course.
and whatever mission I was plotting in my head would be disrupted because of my hanging out with comrades, So I stayed away from them and worked on a plan, And one day in Jena, I was listening to the radio, SABC radio, and they played a song that I learned when I was about 14, 15 years in Port Elizabeth from a nurse called Loretta Macapella. I had to go and sleep at her house, after the concert. And my elders in the band, I was like 15, 14, everybody's got a cheek here,
And you're the baby, yeah.
And she's standing there and looking and seeing me like, kind of a little bit confused about what's going to happen to me tonight. And she says, okay, guys, please, can I have him? My son is not sleeping at home. He's at college, and his bed is empty. Can I have this young man go and stay overnight at my place? And in the morning when I woke up, the first time I slept in a bed on my own at 15, darling, there's always a visitor. There's always, so I never had the opportunity to sleep in my own bed. And I woke up to this song, to be young, gifted and black. Oh, what a precious what a loving, precious thing. There's a world waiting for you. Yours is a quest that's just begun. And when you're feeling you low, there's that we can all be proud and say we are young, gifted and black.
It's
That's a fact.
Yes, I know that song very well.
I fell in love with this song, and she said, "Yeah, you want you." And I said, "Can I have these records?" She says, "No, you can't. You're gonna get arrested." And I had to learn the song right there. It's a long song. I wrote every word of it, and I learned it. And when I left there, and there was another one.
Yes.
I took those songs with me. I put them in my head. And then one day, years later, I was listening to SABC, still trying to think of a way to be involved in the liberation of our people. And they played Young, Gifted and Black by Houston Person, which was a saxophonist, a tenor saxophonist. I was like, if you knew the words of this song, you wouldn't play it. But then they had a policy at SABC, if it is mute, it can be played.
Oh, that's a way around the system.
And then I locked into that. Boom! I went back and I checked out some amazing songs which my little nephew was bringing to me, from the streets, Nkosi yami Nkosi yami bongo, Siyam senzeni na bababum eMzantsi Afrika asilazi cala. And then I said, if I remove the words, it is mute and it will be played. And I started collecting these songs. And I started recording these songs without the words, One of the things I told myself was, one day we definitely are going to be free, Bo Mandela, they will come out, they will rule, and there will be statues of Mandela and so and so and so and so. But the songs after liberation will be history. They will be dead and buried. And I decided to document these, and I decided to be the bridge of communication between our people, Ekasi, between Lusaka and South Africa.
Yeah.
And because at the time, most of our leaders were either in exile or in prison and stuff like that. And I had to just build this monument of song.
Can I tell you what song it is when you speak about building the bridge? It is Umandela Utai Hlome. And that's literally where your voice rings in my head to date. When you look at the evolution of song, because now it's gone from being about struggling for freedom, at some point the songs became about being in freedom. What is your sense of the evolution of those kind of songs that speak to who and what we are? What is your sense?
My worry, what I really stress about is the struggle songs being turned into Christian songs. Yeah. It just overshadows the value of the song itself. If you look back, Christian songs, Inkosi amabutela inkosi, those were our king's songs. Those were praises to our kings. And the Christians were so clever, the missionaries, that they changed the content and put Jesus in there. So that's my worry, how these songs are now changing to mean nothing to the struggle and just uplift Christianity. That's something that I worry about, because the church is so powerful that it is able to influence people to change the content and to make it different. That worries me a lot. I once attended a conference, and Zuma was addressing the conference in Kagiso. And what you said earlier is so powerful, that every branch speaks, and each branch coming in had a song, and after you've heard the branches sing, really, there is no meeting.
There's no need. They've told you
there
what
is
they
no,
want. They've told
there's
you who
no
they
need
are
to talk.
in that moment. Yeah.
They have spoken, and of course, it would be great for me to sing new songs about the new leadership and everything. But you must understand where I come from. We were idealistic about the struggle. It was not enterprise. The struggle was a struggle. It was freedom that we wanted, and genuine freedom, return of the land, and the promises of the Freedom Charter, free education, and stuff like that. And but today it has become the struggle of entrepreneurs, really. And much as the Boers were dangerously dangerous. I think the black man is just more dangerous than the Boers. You check xenophobia. You see how quickly we kill each other. How we forget that even the white people came here from outside of somewhere. But we would kill each other fast, just because when umshangani wase Mozambique, uphume Zimbabwe. The politics of today are quite scary, even though it was never my desire to be a politician. My father warned me, says, politics is a dirty game, my son.
He wasn't lying.
Stay away from it. And I've stayed away from it. But unfortunately, my singing makes people think that I'm a politician. My music intelligence makes people think that I'm a politician. I could not favor anybody else. I may be an Africanist in my nature, in my DNA, but when freedom came, the Africanist was not ready at all. In my tours before 94, when I went into Zimbabwe, I went to Namibia, I met members of the African National Congress, they were always organized. Guys had cards, guys had offices in different countries. And you weigh that up, and you say, who is ready to govern, And I had to take my numbers and give them to an organization that I thought was more organized, more ready to govern, and which was the African National Congress. Even if my sister, she said to me, how can you favor the African National Congress? The guys can't even run a camp outside of the country, And I said, better my people than strangers and foreigners, oppressing me and, this going on, And I gave my numbers. Mandela came out and I said to the people, it was a festival, it was a rally, and I said, I've been saying Mandela for years. I've been vivering Mandela, and the old man is here now, ne? And now I'm going to let go and give over to my king, a much more learned man, who can give us direction. And that's what I did. I handed over. Tate Mandela, here's your people, run with it. Mina, I'm done.
Yeah. Do you regret stepping back and minimizing your voice in order to observe and to give to what was coming? I mean, the ANC was coming into power. Most black people, I think very much like you, most Africans, decided to take a step back and allow what felt like a more organized structure to take over. And I ask now, with 2022 in mind, when you look at what the ANC's done in government, what is your take?
It doesn't matter how I stayed in and kept on activating, being an activist. I don't think if you look at the Sunset Clause, for instance, the Sunset Clause came to close me down. To close me down for 26 years, like, whoop, go away, We don't want to hear you. We don't want to see you. We don't want to fund you. We don't want to fund the resurrection of the African people. We don't want to fund the healing of the African people because mina ngingumngoma. As I have also become a sangoma, I am a man of song, and which means that I am amongst prophets. For me to be heard, it's got to be the drum, it's got to be the song, and to actually propose the Sunset Clause in the deal was basically to shut me down and all my brothers who struggled through song, who encouraged people, who gave post-traumatic stress disorders attention through song. We were closed down, and it was sad. It was sad. I didn't mind stepping back. I respect our leaders. I respect that they went to school and I didn't, I respect that. And so I had to give those that know better, and I could have continued. But when the Sunset Clause came in, I would have been going against the law. If you look at the past 28, 30 years, the government, the governing parties agreed that I do not participate in any, that the government should not pay me for my activations, and I was closed out. So for the past 28 years, 30 years, I've been sitting out there and waiting for the Sunset Clause to come to an end, which means, Guti, I've starved my family, which means that I haven't been a dad except a beautiful dad that I am to my children. I love my kids. I raise them up. I'm there as much as I can. But when you cannot be there financially for the children, you have a dad, So I'm sad that I've been half a dad. I am sad that the 26 years has passed and nothing has opened up, I think the guys were just hoping that by now I would be dead, you know.
Talk to me about what it means for things to open up, the things that have made it difficult for you. You speak about the sunset clauses, but you speak about how you're not alone. You've been starved and waiting for so long. Just to elaborate to us what you mean by that.
No work for the music maker. No stage for the music maker to express. Because my freedom, fighting for freedom, or my engagement was not about that I'm going to get rich. No, it was about setting the playing fields, to just level the playing fields so that I can express my thoughts, I can express my desires anytime, without offending other people, but I could speak, I could think, I could develop thoughts, I could develop ideas and implement and put them into play. You understand? It's about the mind. I may not be financially in a correct space.
But even that, though, one would imagine that having done what you've done in the lead up to democracy, the democratic government should have avenues, instruments to support artists in order to do all those things so that you're not financially compromised as you attempt to build that particular avenue of that psyche of society. Because, and I say this very quickly, because the NC has abandoned or hasn't paid enough attention, rather, to issues of archiving, to our history, to our culture, to any of those things. They go to a conference now, the 55th National Conference, being told by its own members that you don't care and you've not cared enough about our history, our archiving, about who and what we are as a people. It's one thing to build statues. It's a whole different thing to understand who and what we are and to find meaning in our existence. And I think they haven't paid enough attention to that.
We haven't paid enough attention to the heritage of this country. We haven't, because heritage is not something that's there. If this studio becomes your heritage, it's because man was there, and that man has to be credited for that. I don't believe in principles without a person. Where there's a principle, there must be a person. I'm not as Christian as I would like to be. Christians would believe in principles that come from the air, But my principles have to connect to a person.
Our parting shot. What is your hope for yourself? For us as younger generations in a country where song has evolved but does remain on some level or another a part and parcel of who we are as a people.
It's going to be hard for you young people. Absolutely. I respect you. I look up to you, because that's what an elder should do. I didn't struggle to be a hero. I struggled so that you guys can be able to be in the positions that you are today and have the voice that you have today to freely be able to express yourself. That was my struggle, My parting shot, it's going to take a long time for us to achieve any of the ideals of freedom that we ever espoused in our heads. This world belongs to a God, but that God does not live in South Africa. He's probably in England, probably in America. He doesn't aspire to give you your desires and to grow you from where he's a God of enterprise. He's a God of business, and all he respects is profit. And he's going to be keeping you in your place for a very, very long time. You have to lay back and save your energy and come up with new strategies of how to go forward and how to prosper this nation. Thank you.
Would song be one of the strategies that we should be looking to?
Absolutely. Song, we sing it when we cry. We sing it when we're happy. We sing it when a child is born. Song is the staff that Moses had to fight Pharaoh.
Blondie Makhene, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you.
Umandela uthayihlome wena uthayihlo umandela uthayihlome ihlasele siyaya ngomkhonto wesizwe lusaka When utai o yang laya na ihlome when utai o yang layan aihlomi hlasele siya ngom o wesizwe lusaka when utai hlome